And I have to say, the beer snake got all the way to the top, and now they're disassembling it.
As Week 6 has come and gone for the XFL, we have more of an understanding on teams and their potential for playoffs coming in 4 weeks, with many teams still needing wins to try and get back in the playoff hunt as the top 2 teams in each division gets in the playoffs. Welcome back to another XFL video today, and thank you for clicking on this video. Hope you're doing well, and it's that time of the week where we get to discuss what happened during Week 6 as well as what's to come in Week 7. So, let's talk about it. To kick off the week on Saturday, we had the Seattle Sea Dragons travel all the way to Orlando to play the winless Guardians, though they did not play like it as they've played their best football these past 2 weeks, with quarterback Quinton Dormandy leading the offense, making some huge throws, but also being able to use his legs as he ran for 43 yards in this game, picking up some big first downs. After both teams would score field goals early on, the defenses mainly did the damages until the Guardians offense would finally score with a rushing touchdown before the 2-minute warning by running back Devin Darrington near the goal line, which looked like a counterplay based off of the way that he was running and the way the 2 linemen were pulling from the left to the right. Seattle did try and score a touchdown too before half, but Ben DiNucci ended up throwing another reckless pick to Najim Hoseen in the end zone. The Seattle Sea Dragons would end up scoring a field goal, though, to make the score 9-10 at halftime. Seattle would finally get things going again with a big-time touchdown drive to put them in the lead, ending with the pass to Blake Jackson for 20 yards, as Ben DiNucci shows that side where he can be the best quarterback in the league, even though he's super inconsistent. The Guardians would ground and pound their way to respond as Devin Darrington would have his second rushing touchdown of the game, this time for a whopping 43 yards, busting his way into the end zone. After that, Seattle would then kick a field goal at the start of the 4th. Then Orlando would respond with a field goal of their own for 50 yards, making it a 19-20 Seattle ball game. The Sea Dragons defense would be huge in the last 7 minutes of the game as they'd block a Guardians punt the drive after, setting up an easy throw on 3rd and goal on the 3-yard line to Jawan Green, getting his 3rd receiving touchdown of the season, being an absolute weapon for the Sea Dragons offense. With that dagger, they'd be up 26-19. The defense would strike again and force a fumble to recover it and seal it for the Sea Dragons as they get their 4th win in a row, continuing to fight with the St. Louis Battlehawks for that playoff spot. To close the Saturday games, we had the St. Louis Battlehawks hitting the road to Vegas to play the Vipers after getting their first win of the season. Both teams are looking to get back into the playoff picture in a stacked XFL North division. After a defensive first quarter, the Battlehawks would score on the first play of the second quarter on the goal line with a wide receiver sweep to Gary Jennings for the score. St. Louis would continue with 2 more scores with a long drive ending with a field goal for 40 yards and then score a bomb for 30 yards from A.J. McCarron to Darius Shepard, getting his first touchdown of the day, making the score 17-0 at halftime. The Vipers would continue to struggle on offense in the second half as Luis Perez would throw back-to-back picks in the first 2 drives of the half. Both picks were intercepted by safety Lavert Hill, having a day. The Battlehawks offense would then capitalize off the first pick by scoring a rushing touchdown with backup running back Kareem Walker, extending their lead 23-0. With Luis struggling after the turnovers, Vegas would put Brett Hundley in to try and help the offense move the ball, which they did eventually by scoring a touchdown near the end of the game. To score, Brett would throw a swing route to running back Lovett for a catch and run for a 17-yard touchdown. St. Louis would end up playing some conservative offense and some great defense, getting 4 sacks to end up winning the game 29-6. To finish off the weekend, we have a rematch from last week, as this time the Brahmas traveled to Arlington to play the Renegades. This time around, the defenses still were dominating the game, just like last week, as neither offense going or any momentum going. Both teams in this one were using both their quarterbacks since neither of them could really find the starting guy for them. Same for San Antonio, even though Sinnott, who played pretty well for them last week, got injured in the middle of their game, so he was not able to play in this game today. Even with both teams trying to use both of their quarterbacks though, they'd still struggle pretty bad. San Antonio would get up early with a field goal in the first, and then the defense getting a scoop and score in the middle of the second quarter with a sack from Delonte Scott and recovered and scored by Jordan Williams. In the start of the second half, Arlington would score a field goal for 53 yards, and then after a Donald Payne interception from the defense, the offense would score a big-time touchdown from Drew Plitt to LaJuan Winningham, making an awesome extended catch in the end zone, making the score 9-9. Drew Plitt was definitely the best quarterback on the field that day, as he threw for 10 for 16, 163 yards, and that LaJuan touchdown. But San Antonio would play some smart plays while playing lights out defense, as the Brahmas would end up winning 15-9, ending with a Drew Plitt interception to safety Tenny Adewusi. With that win, things get even more interesting in the XFL South Division as we get closer to the playoffs. For the end of Week 6, we had a banger of a game on Monday Night Football, which was the first Monday Night Football game of the season, as we had the two top teams in the XFL go at it, as the XFL South leaders, Houston Roughnecks, played the undefeated XFL North leaders, the DC Defenders. DC is coming off a big-time win at St. Louis in that big run game, as Houston is coming off their first loss of the season and trying to get back into that winning column. After an 8-play explosive drive from Houston scoring with Max Borghi, DC would miss a field goal in the second quarter after making one in the first. Beyond that, DC would take control for the rest of the game essentially, as Jordan Ta'amu and the offense would march down the field, throwing some dimes and finishing the drive with Abram Smith, coming off his 200-plus yard game last week, would score on the goal line. Then, the defense would get a pick 6, as they lead the league with pick 6s already. Santos Ramirez would get the interception, which would be his second interception of the season. Ta'amu would continue his great play at quarterback in this game with a great throw on the goal line to the back shoulder of Alex Ellis, getting his second reception of the entire season, making a huge play for the score. After a good field goal attempt by DC after that, Houston would sub in quarterback Cole McDonald because B. Silvers couldn't get it done and was struggling while he was in for the game. And Cole did not disappoint, as his first throw in the game was an 85-yard bomb to Deontay Burnett, as he shows he's still a top receiver in the league. With Houston having some life in the game with Cole coming in, DC would basically end what hopes Houston had, with Jordan Ta'amu scoring the dagger on a super accurate pass over the middle to Lucky Jackson, topping off his and Ta'amu's day with season highs in 245 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns, showing the versatility that he has at quarterback and how that offense has been trusting him to completely run the offense. Houston would try coming back with a pair of rushing touchdowns with Max Borghi and then a Cole McDonald quarterback sneak on the goal line, but it was too late, as DC officially takes the top spot right now as the best team in the XFL, with the final score being 37-26, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. With Week 6 out of the way, we're starting to see how the playoffs are filling out with 4 more weeks left in the season. So let's talk about Week 7, starting with the Seattle Sea Dragons traveling over to Arlington to play the Renegades. I'm going to take Seattle again here, as they're on a 4-game winning streak and the offense is still one of the top with DiNucci and those weapons that he has, along with the fact that Arlington has a lot that they need to figure out on offensively to try and keep up with Seattle. On to the San Antonio Brahmas going over to play the Vegas Vipers. This game can go either way, honestly. Both teams are trying to get another win to get back into their respective divisions. I will take Vegas because even though they don't know who's going to be at the quarterback position, they do have a better team all around. On to the DC Defenders going over to play the Orlando Guardians. This essentially is David versus Goliath, as the undefeated Defenders travel to play the winless Guardians. And I don't want to spend too much time on this one, but I'm going to take DC because they have so many advantages over the struggling Orlando squad. To finish off Week 7, we have potentially the game of the week, with Houston trying to keep their division lead after losing 2 straight. With that and B Silver's having a rough few weeks, I will take AJ and them boys in St. Louis because they look on fire, especially on offense, dominating the Vipers 29-6. Not saying that Houston couldn't win at all. I mean, if Cole McDonald comes out again like he did against DC and plays like that, well, they for sure have a chance. Well, that's another video on the XFL. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please hit the like and subscribe and continue to let me know who you think is going to potentially win it all this season as we're getting closer to the playoffs. Thank you again and have a good one.